Welcome to the Final Score Network and the Final Score Podcast, presented by Team Anders Realtors. I'm Andy. He's former NCAA student athlete and co-host.
Ryan, Cam, two-hand monster flush off the inbound. Ryan, Cam, slam, jam.
Subscribe to us on Podbean, the Apple Podcast Store, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at TheFinalScore35 and TikTok at AGSpartanFan35. Oh, and one more note before we get started.
I'd like to apologize to anyone I've not offended yet. Please be patient. I'll get to you shortly.
Welcome into the Final Score Network pod. We're at 128 this week. Last week of June. That's crazy to say that it's almost July. Wow, summer's already flying by. This year's already flying by. Geez, halfway done almost. A lot to discuss here. NBA draft was last week. We'll probably briefly touch on that. Some golf stuff. A few other newsworthy items as well. Just cut to the chase. Podium. I warned you guys. Whenever the Saudi thing, started picking up heat before they merged with the PGA Tour. How the Saudis were going to take over sports. Well, I was right because they're trying to take over tennis now. They put this out on Monday, I believe it was, and they want to have their own tennis circuit that's rivals whatever, I don't know what the Pro Tennis Association, I don't know what it's called, but what they have now. But they're trying to make their own thing where they pay these guys a bunch of money, and one of the best players in the world, Nick Kyrgios, already said that he would do it. Welcome to this. I mean, we got golf and tennis next. They already have soccer. Would not surprise me to see a basketball league, a baseball league.
Long before it's the UAE, not the NCAA.
Yeah, seriously. We're going there, guys. It's just a matter of time. Money talks, and it talks loud and aggressively.
Speaking of loud and aggressively, I'm going to give a STFU loud and aggressively to Megan, whatever, her purple hair, Rapini, the one who bitches all the time about, equal pay for the women's soccer players when they can't even beat a 15-year-old boys U.S. national team. And then Alex Morgan, even bigger surprise. Why? We're going to talk a little bit about my favorite topic, and Danny will love this, Riley will love this, Kyle will probably love this. Virtue signalers. Yep, Megan and Alex are your premium virtue signalers, and this is what I'm talking about. So we're all very familiar with Riley Gaines and what happened with the NCAA swim meet a couple years ago where the, quote, she with a rudder, you know what I'm talking about, swam and won and beat women and took placement, and Riley Gaines was embarrassed and didn't even get to get her trophy because the NCAA wanted to celebrate a trans winning a women's swim race. Well, these two jokers are talking about how the women's team should boycott any state that doesn't allow transgenders to participate in women's sports. WTF? Are you not women? Well, Megan, that's questionable. But Alex Morgan, clearly a female. Again, Megan, I assume, is a female. I don't know what she identifies as. And you are really going to tread on and piss on and spit on little girls over boys that want to be girls? That's virtue signaling. You've already arrived. You're at the top of your sport, and you are chastising a Riley Gaines for her take and her fight for girls, for women's sports. And you want to make it okay. You're okay. You tell me as women, you're okay that the last 3 or 4 women, quote, of the year have been men, have been transgenders? Do you want the extinguishing of women? I mean, really, what would the feminists from the 60s, the bra burners of the 60s, think about your attitude now? You're okay with somebody feigning to be a woman taking a girl's spot when they are clearly more athletic, more powerful, faster, bigger, stronger. We have the case of the girl in North or South Carolina that got knocked out and is like done with her sport and has major head injuries and repercussions because of being spiked on in volleyball. You have the women's swimming thing, and you're really going to virtue signal. And oh, my favorite from Megan was that this is like genocide. You're going to compare the treatment of a minuscule 10th, 100th, 1000th of a percent of people who are clearly mentally ill and aren't really what they say they are, to what happened to the poor people of religious persecution in like Bosnia, in Yugoslavia, in Africa. The audacity to do that, you're disgusting. And any sports platform, I'm talking about you, ESPN, that gives these people a platform to talk about that, you should be banished. You should lose your license from the FCC. It's gross. You are teaching it's okay for people who can't even vote, who can't buy smokes, who can't buy beer, who can't serve the country, that it's okay to say, I wish I didn't have a pee-pee, I'm going to play women's soccer. F you. F you. Forget about any support you'll ever get from me. Do us all a favor. Go move to Saudi Arabia. Then tell us how you like it.
Yeah. No, not a great situation. All right, tee up of the week. This one's more just funny. We're teeing up the NBA draftees, the guys who are in the green room. Did you get a load of what these guys are wearing now? You know, some of the guys are wearing nice suits. You know, I don't care if it's a little flashy. You know, maybe a chain,
but no shirt under his. Like,
no shirt.
Like what's his nuts from Michigan?
Buffkin looked like he looked like an old lady, and then you have Grady Dick wearing this red Wizard of Oz sparkly. It's like, what do you just? You make it a show. You're getting drafted.
It's
to play
individualism.
In the NBA.
That's why the NBA sucks, because it's all about the individual, not about the team.
I hate the NBA.
It's. I mean, I'm all for people. You know, you express your individualism. Like Rodman was the first one who kind of broke that barrier. You want to make yourself look weird or whatever, not above the team. That night's about the NBA and about your moment, yes, but it's not. It's not about who can look the dumbest. You look stupid.
I think they look cool.
That's the problem. It goes back to my podium. Half of this country is just plain effing stupid. You look stupid, you act stupid, you talk stupid, you are stupid. At me all you want if you disagree. I will debate you till the cows come home. If you support any of that crap, you're freaking dumb.
Yeah. All right, par 3. Nitty gritty. What are we doing first here?
Yeah, well, I got to start with Chris. Got after me last week. He's down in St. Thomas, you know, tanning his cheeks with the assless chaps women on the beach down there. He said, you can't pick dream, foursome, and course for the thing that you'd rather have. We picked from four things, like no 3 putts, win the Masters and never play again, and I can't remember what the fourth one was. And I didn't, and I said, a lot of things, whatever, and he's like, nope, you have to pick. So, all right, Chris, I came up with it, and I'm going to explain a little bit why. So, first draft pick for my foursome, I'm going with Ricky Fowler. I just like Rick. He's a good dude. I've always liked him. He's easily taken the place of where Phil was on my pantheon of guys that I really looked up to for golf. Phil is in the toilet, he's in like the Porta John after a Michigan game, just covered flat out in flatulence and whatever else. Ricky is moved to his spot at the top. Just a good dude. Seems like he'd just be a fun guy to play with. Second, Justin Thomas. Dude can take a joke. He can give a joke. The whole handing of the tampon thing from Tiger Woods, loved it. It's awesome. I think he's really kind of he's a little guy, but he's a dude's guy. I just think he'd be a blast to play with. Plus, I think he's friends with Ricky, so that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And for my third one, I struggled a little bit because I was trying to who would I want to play with? Who would really just be fun? Like, you could say Tiger, you could say Jack Nicklaus, you could say Arnold Palmer if he was still alive. There's a lot of guys you could say that were just good golfers. I'm telling you, I would love. And I picked a golfer because I'd really love to probably play around with Charles Barkley of like mind or Shaquille O'Neal, but we'll put that to the side. I'm going with John Daly. John Daly is about as hillbilly, redneck, non-typical golfer. Mm-hmm. Smoke 2 packs, drink a case of Diet Coke, drink a case of Coors Light or Natty Light or whatever he does on the course. He would be an absolute riot to play with. And I'm looking to have a good time with this group, to have it be memorable. I think it'd be fun. So those are my 3 guys, Chris. And the course, there's a lot of places you could play. There's a lot of places I do want to play, but I would go to St. Andrews. JD won at St. Andrews, I believe. At the British Open. It's the birthplace of golf. I just think playing with those guys and then going to have some pints afterward would be a hell of a good time.
That would be fun.
All right, so here's one Mona sent my way, Ryan. I think she probably sent to you too. There was a big story in the Grand Rapids Press, which never prints any news anymore. It's disappointing we don't have actual print newspapers, but about Matty Sissoko.
Yep.
He's not a citizen of U.S., so he's not allowed to take his NIL money, which is horseshit. If these guys are going to get paid, why they can't take the money? But better yet, Matty took his money and built a school in his home country. Amazing. Like, if you're going to give guys ungodly amounts of money, let's celebrate this instead of, the guys like Quinn Ewers, who went to Ohio State, took his 7 figures, and then transferred after a year. Let's celebrate the Matty Sissokos who are doing the right thing and who are doing something good for society, because there's not very many of those people. And I just wanted to call attention to that. I think we probably had mentioned it before, that guys like him couldn't get an NIL, but what a way to use it in a way that's good for other people. Like, can we get more of that in this world? Like, people who actually care about other people and want to do good for other people? And I'm not talking about through virtue signaling and woke behavior. I'm talking about by doing something virtuous and right and godly. And that's exactly what Matty did. And I just wanted to call attention to it because I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, too. Doing good in the world, Matty. Thank you.
That's an example of a guy... he'll probably have a decent, Euro career when he gets done at Michigan State. He's grown into being a pretty good basketball player. He's not ever going to be great, I don't think. Who knows? He may have like another breakout of a breakout season this year, but that's a guy that's going to do well in the world because he understands how to treat people. That's what I want more of. And that's how much I appreciate Tom Izzo, because those are the guys that he wants on his squad. If you're not like that, you ain't sticking around.
Yeah, I agree. Are we just hodgepodging this?
Yeah.
So Michigan State football recruiting, to stick with Michigan State, finally picking up, get some commits. They're looking good for some more guys. We like positive momentum. Obviously, it's now recruiting is basically, it's not set in stone unless you sign that dotted line. Even then, you can transfer whenever you want. So
they did just change that. Now you have to have a coaching change or something like that in your first year, right?
Well, I think that's a certain stipulation.
No.
But they're going to change the portal window from 60 to 30 days, I think. So
it doesn't feel like they have any window right now.
No, it really isn't. Well, especially for grad transfers. There's guys leaving right now. Obviously, Bob Huggins... We talked about that situation last week. They've had some guys leave. One guy left already for Kentucky. Just crazy. And the guy that's their new coach, the interim coach, they hired him over some people that have been head coaches before within their coaching staff. And this guy was the director of basketball operations in 2021, full-time assistant last year. Now he's the head coach.
Is it because he's young, or what's the deal?
Yeah, because I guess they like him the most. The players do.
Out of those. Hey, West Virginia, go look at Michigan State, 1999, when Saban left, and the players knocked on McPherson's door and said, "We want Bobby, we want Bobby." That went to hell in a handbasket in 2 years with Smoker snorting coke and who knows what Chuck Rogers was doing. And you don't ever let the inmates run the asylum. Ever.
Yeah, not good. That's crazy. But yeah, Michigan State recruiting is doing better, looking up. Needed that. Did anyone see the Angels versus Rockies score the other night? 25-1. It was the score.
Wasn't it similar to that in the College World Series?
Yeah, it was 24-4 Florida, and then LSU won 18-4 to win the World Series. It's like, what's all this hitting coming from?
When are they going to take away aluminum bats from College World Series?
Yeah,
like,
it makes no sense.
Can't go do that in the pros.
No.
Like, seriously? I mean, whatever.
I don't like the sound of it.
No.
I like the crack of the bat.
Yeah, the crack of the bat. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so I got a question for you, Ryan. I just thought about this a little while ago. If Michigan State doesn't make a Final Four this year, will the season be a disappointment?
No, it's so hard to make it, but if they don't make a second weekend, I think it'd be a disappointment.
I agree. It's hard to make it, and there's a measure of luck. And winning, that elusive second one for Izzo is difficult. And
so
like we
hard.
talk about all the time, 2020, we think Michigan State that could have been our
Could
year.
have
Also lost in the first round, right?
Yeah.
Because we lost in the first round in 2016. I kind of think it would be because Michigan State, in a way, overachieved a little bit last year. They brought all the key players back, and they have the number 3 recruiting class. It feels to me like all the pieces and parts are there. Because, guys like Akins, Hogard, Walker, they're all going to be gone. Not that the other good guys aren't going to come on and so on and so forth, the next year. But, the time is kind of now. And I know as much as it's hard, sometimes luck of the draw, ask Purdue. I think it would be a disappointment. I'm not going to hate on Michigan State if they don't make the Final Four. But I would be disappointed because this is going to be the most... arguably a more talented team even than that 2020 team, top to bottom. I mean, that team was pretty veteran-laden and had a lot of talent like Cassius and McQuaid and, Xavier and some guys like that. But, this team is stacked. There are shooters, there are scorers, there are drivers, there are bigs. There's defense, there's rim protection, there's, everything. Best it's been in a long time in terms of everything check the box Michigan State has. Michigan State's done really well getting to Final Fours over the years with teams that, if there were 10 boxes to checked 6, 5, 8, 7. Rarely has Michigan State had a check to every box, and I'm making 10 up as a number, but rarely have we had a team that checked every box. Could break, could rim protect, could shoot, could stop. All the good free throw shooting team, low turnover ratio, all these different things. This team is so set up to be that. And the pressure is going to be there. Sometimes we know, especially in football, Michigan State does better when they kind of come out of nowhere. But it's past that time for Tom. He's been around a long time, and he knows how to do this. So I would be disappointed at this point in time. Now, of course, you get injuries. Nobody could foresee that Akins and Hall would get hurt last year, and Michigan State still had success despite that. I would at this point in time. I would say I would be disappointed if they
I would be. I'm not. I'm just not going to put that because I know how hard it is. But
yeah, I mean, there's no doubt it's hard, and
speaking
it's
of Tom,
who gets hot and all that kind of stuff.
Speaking of Tom, he's got to be sticking around for at least a few more years because this dude's out recruiting 2025s and 2026s like his life depends upon it.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
That's awesome at 70 years old. We'd love to see that. All right, NBA draft. Quick breakdown of that. Wemby 1, Miller going 2 was crazy, kind of. I thought they would go Scoot at 2, and then Blazers picked Scoot. And I'm thinking that Lillard might be on his way out of Portland after that, which is interesting, having been there his whole career. Glad the Pistons got Asor Thompson. That's a good pick for them. Fits a need. Was surprised to see Jet Howard go at number 11. The Magic are basically the Orlando Wolverines now. They have a ton of Michigan guys.
And Gary Harris.
Yeah, true. Buffkin going 15. I don't think he's that. I mean, he's good, but he's not that good. I don't.
So why the NBA sucks too is they draft on quote.
Hood Schifino is better than him, and he went 17th. He's better than him. And Jaime Jaquez went 18th. I think that was cool. The Pistons got Marcus Sasser in a trade. That's sweet. I think that's a really good pickup for them. Chris Murray went 23rd. That was cool. Sensabaugh 28th. So how many Big Ten guys is that in the first round there? 1, 2, 4. 5. So pretty good. 5 out of 30. And then Pickett went 32nd, which I was surprised by.
He's a baller.
Good
Though.
for him.
He is like a Draymond Green stat sheet stuffer. Does it all. He's what basketball players should be.
He's awesome. And then Lundy went 46th. I thought that was cool too. Amani Bates 49th. That'll be interesting.
He's the next Deonta Davis.
Trace 57th to the Warriors. That's fun. And then Hauser got picked up by the Utah Jazz. Good for him. Happy for him. Some guys a lot
He's
of
Lily White. He'll fit in out there in Salt Lake City.
right, exactly. And Wojo is part of their organization, so that's interesting because he was his coach.
Oh yeah, at Marquette.
Marquette briefly. So yeah, and then speaking of Michigan State football, I thought I would bring this up because there's a video of it being thrown around Twitter, and people are talking about it. They're like, oh, it was video. It said like, you want to see a team get screwed in 3 minutes of bad calls, and it was Michigan State versus Notre Dame 2013 pass interference.
Oh my gosh!
But awful calls. They admitted they were terrible, and people were like, oh, it stopped Michigan State from winning a national championship. This, I don't agree with that. Because I think, I will always say this, if Michigan State wins that game, I don't think they go on to have the season they do. Because Andrew Maxwell would have led a game-winning drive.
Right.
And who knows, if he takes over, Cook leaves, he doesn't pan out. You don't have the next 2 years after 2013.
Look historically. Not all the time, but historically.
When
Michigan State beats Notre
we're not
Dame, the
as good.
season isn't as good. Now, there's exceptions to that. Like
Little Giants
here.
you
And
know.
there's exceptions for sure. 99... plenty of exceptions, but there are also a lot of times when that got our hopes up 3-0 non-conference, and then the sky fell during Big Ten play. So I agree. I mean, it's easy to go back and play the what-if game and whatever, but I do think that kind of changed things for Michigan State.
I think it
bit,
put a chip on their
positive way.
shoulder.
Yep. And Michigan State under D'Antonio played, and still to this day plays better with a chip on our shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, we were highly ranked and unbeaten when Michigan came to town in 2021, and we were basically still like, no way, they won't have a chance. And we got behind several times in that game. No chance, no chance, no chance, no chance. Chip on our shoulder. We won. Keep chopping, right? Keep chopping.
Exactly.
All right, so here's one. You probably haven't seen this necessarily, Ryan. It just kind of popped up when I was surfing around looking for stuff the other day. Big Ten strength of schedule rankings from CBS Sports, which I can't wait to hear that. So I'm going to run these past. We'll obviously get into our Big Ten previews as we get into July and August.
Soon.
But and so more to come on these then. But I wanted to give this to you to react. So they're saying that Minnesota has the toughest strength of schedule in the Big Ten because they have a road game against North Carolina.
Okay.
They have to play Michigan, Ohio State, and Michigan State from the East. Ohio State's the only one on the road, but then and they've won 9 games at least in the last 3 seasons, full seasons. Can they do that with that schedule? So compared to like a Purdue, new first-year coach, they open the season with Fresno. They're at Vatech and Syracuse. Syracuse had a decent season last year. And then let's see, who do they also not play? They get Ohio State and Michigan out of the East. So that's
those are tough games for them.
Michigan State. They have number 3, Central and Richmond to start. But then you got Washington, which a lot of things lately in polls and surveys and stuff are saying that's one of the tougher non-conference games for a team to play, whether it's Washington or Michigan State. Michigan and Penn State at home. Well, Penn State's not at home. Penn State's on neutral territory. So Michigan at home, Penn State neutral, and Ohio State on the road. At Iowa, at Minnesota, and then Nebraska, though. That's not the easiest West draw. They have Indiana 4, so kind of some of the teams that might not do as well at the top, which, it's too bad because the best teams, I'm sure, have the easiest schedules, like Michigan, we know. Indiana's got to go, it plays Louisville, Indiana State and Akron, whatever. And then they've got Wisconsin, Illinois, and Purdue out of the West. And, of course, they play the East. Illinois is number 5. They've got to play Toledo, who's one of the better MAC squads. And
yeah, they're good. Usually
I think they're playing them at home. Kansas probably looked like a good idea back then, but Kansas
resurrected.
They got to go. They play Penn State, but they don't play Michigan and Ohio State. So I'm not really sure how that's the number 5 because that's a pretty easy schedule because they were in the West. Rutgers number 6. They've got Vatech. They're playing them at home. Temple and Wagner. Who cares? They get Rutgers or gets Wisconsin and Iowa from the West, both on the road, and then of course they play the East. East by nature is the toughest. They're saying Ohio State's got the 7th toughest. They play a road game at Notre Dame. They've got road trips to Penn State and Michigan too, and Wisconsin. So, like,
Yeah,
why
that's
isn't that the
tough.
hardest schedule? Just because they're the best team or the second best team. Youngstown State, Western Kentucky. Otherwise, 7. I argue with that. That's a much harder schedule than some of those teams I've said. Nebraska, they've got Deion Sanders in Colorado Buffalo on the road. They've got Michigan at Nebraska. They also have Michigan State and Maryland from the East, so they don't have that. That's a marginally difficult, but it's not that difficult. Michigan 9, no way. I think they have the easiest schedule. They play East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green as their non-conference, and they play Ohio State at home. So they have to go to Michigan State, but that's really about it. They got Nebraska, Minnesota, and Purdue. A couple of those games are on the road, but like, really, that's not the 9th toughest schedule. That's like the easiest schedule. Northwestern's got UTEP, Howard, and Duke. They get Penn State and Maryland from the East. That's not a very tough schedule. Wisconsin, number 11. They've got Buffalo, Washington State, decently tough, and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern beat Nebraska last year, didn't they?
Yes. Was that Scott Frost?
Yep. And then they've got Ohio State from the East, but they have Rutgers in Indiana. So 11th is probably about right. Iowa, number 12. Penn State is their only crossover game that they have. That's notably difficult. I mean, Michigan State maybe, but Michigan State doesn't necessarily play particularly well at Iowa. Utah State, Western Michigan. Iowa State's always a tough game, but so they're about right at 12. Maryland, okay, they play the East, of course, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, but they've got Towson, Charlotte, and Virginia. Illinois, Northwestern, Nebraska from the West, and then Penn State. They have the easiest schedule. They probably serve, according to CBS, they probably serve to get the most out of it. They got West Virginia, Delaware, and UMass. I mean, come on, what is this? Like the Revolutionary War? And then they've got, of course, the East, but then they play Illinois, Iowa, and Northwestern. Like, they're going to be favored, as this says, to win 10 of their 12 games minimally, I would say. So I don't know if you have any reaction to any of that, Ryan, or not. But.
No. I'm just excited for it. Very excited.
All right. That's all I had for Hodgepodge. You got anything else?
The NFL's about to suspend more people for gambling.
Oh, boy. I did have
one guy's out for the season.
I saw one thing is start
Isaiah
one,
Rodgers.
bench one, cut one. I think we may have to implement that into the podcast pretty soon. I saw something on TikTok. It was start one, bench one, cut one with Herbert, Burrow, and Allen.
That's fun.
Who would you? Let's just take that 3 then. Who would you?
I would probably bench Josh Allen, start Burrow, and what was the other one? Bench and cut?
Cut, yeah.
Cut Allen, bench Herbert, start Burrow.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. Like I'd want
Allen's
Herbert
a
to be
turnover
my backup.
machine.
Izzy's here enjoying the podcast. Love.
Yeah, she doesn't
licking her
usually.
chops. She's a special guest today. Good girl. All right, we're gonna move to the second shot.
Mount
And
Rushmore.
this will be a Mount Rushmore, and this was one I can't remember if Chris brought this up or if I thought about this. I can't remember, but we're gonna do a Mount Rushmore of MSU 3-point shooters.
Oh, I like this.
And it can be, on any criteria you want. I happen to have the career leaders in front of me, if you're interested in any of that stuff. And we're going to try to go different. So each have our own Mount
All right.
Rushmore.
Well, that will be
now
the
we have
alternate picks.
we have a little the advantage of obviously the age gap. I saw guys that Ryan didn't
But
see.
I can pick that. I know some good
So
shooters.
I'm going first because age before.
I know who you're going to pick.
Sean Respert,
Yeah.
of course, made 331 all-time best at Michigan State. And let's see, this is where it ranks. Hold on a second. 331.
Sniper.
The next closest is Chris Hill at 306. In attempts, Sean Respert was second with 729, and in percentage, he was first at 45.4%.
That's crazy.
So Sean Respert, my first and the GOAT 3-point shooter. Plus, he was there exactly when I was at Michigan State.
Well, I don't have stats in front of me because I didn't know we were doing this one. But in Forbes, I mean, come on, dude made 11. What did you make? 11 or 12 threes in that game. I gotta find this.
Oh yeah, Bryn. So
Versus
here's where
Rutgers.
Forbes actually
Played 2 years at Michigan State.
only 2 years, but so
Made 11 of 16 threes against Rutgers.
extrapolate this. So in all-time Michigan State career, he is number 10, playing 2 seasons with 182. So if he stays on that pace, now granted those are his 2 later in college seasons, but let's just say even he has 150. 150 more threes in his first 2 years, so playing 4 full years at Michigan State, that would have put him at 332. He was a sniper.
Yeah,
That is
if he
100%
got his feet
for
set,
sure.
it's probably going in the hoop.
Attempts obviously doesn't rate very high in attempts because there weren't that many at the time, and I don't know why they only show only 3-point percentage for a couple of different guys. So I can't tell you how he did percentage wise, but he was a sniper. All right, so you take Bryn Forbes.
Yes.
I cannot argue against that.
All right, your turn.
So I'm going to go my number 2, and I think as much because he hit big ones, kind of an ugly shot, actually. Honestly, Respert's was about as pure as you can get. I'm going to go with Cassius.
Yeah,
He
I was
made
gonna say him,
259. He attempted 602, so you can figure out the percentage there. Pretty high percentage, 259 out of 602. But he made a lot of good, game winner type shots. Okay, that's 43%, so that's a heck of a good percentage of shooting. So I'm going to go with Cassius. Money shooter, again, kind of not the most aesthetically pleasing, but man, it was pretty pure actually.
Yeah, I mean, if he also got his feet set, it was probably going to go down the drain. I'm going to go Chris Hill.
Hard to
really
argue.
good.
I mean,
Really good
he's
shooter.
second all time. He made 306.
Because
behind
as a
the rest of
freshman,
them.
he made 45% of his threes, I think.
Yeah, and he shot the most, 735. So let's see, 306 out of 735. I'll give you the percentage there. That's a good percentage. He shot 41.6%. So very solid shooter. He kind of better earlier in his career, I would say. He had to kind of take on some point guard duties at times. But man, and that guy was nervous as heck before he'd play. He'd throw up in a garbage can. One time he threw up on somebody's back at a game we were at. Yeah, I loved Chris Hill. We got a picture of him.
Chris Hill's really good player.
Phenomenal, underrated Spartan for sure. All right, so that's a good pick. So you've got Forbes and Hill, and I've got Respert and Cash.
Cash money.
So I'm going to go for my third one. Boy, I'm going to go with Drew Neitzel.
That's a good one.
Drew Neitzel, third all time, 273 made, 684 attempted. Again, hit a lot of quality, clutch game, big game type of threes. So what is that? What did I say? 273 out of 684. Let's see what that percentage is. 273. Oh no. Well, whatever. I did the math wrong, but I love Drew. Grew up in Grand Rapids. He was ambidextrous, and he's a left-handed shooter primarily. But that one against Wisconsin stands out to me. That dance around the rim a million times when I think Wisconsin might have been number 1, and we upset him at home. Phenomenal. So that's my third pick.
I like it. I mean, it was when I was a baby, but Mo Pete, sniper.
Mo Pete, he was a sniper. 39.9% that was for Drew. Mo Pete, let's see where he actually doesn't rank in the top. Kind of surprisingly, he doesn't rank in the top 10 for either attempts or field goals, but talk about a guy that made clutch threes big time. All right, so my fourth one, there are a lot of guys that you could pick. I'm going to go with Denzel. Donkey Teeth, phenomenal. Happens to be fourth in makes, 265, fourth in attempts, 650. So, I mean, another clutch guy, almost 41%. Donkey Teeth, Denzel.
Yeah, that was going to be my
that one he made on Valentine's Day against Ohio State.
I'm looking, what are you using, Sports Reference?
Yeah.
Yeah, he, 44% as a senior?
Yeah,
That's,
fourth all time in attempts and makes. He was a gamer. He was a gamer. All the guys I feel like I picked were gamers.
Yeah. Dang, this one's hard for me. Just looking on this list, I'm trying to go through in my head. McQuaid was a good shooter, but I feel like he wasn't great.
He's in the top 10.
I'll go. Well,
You want some other guys? Give you a
I'm
hint.
looking at this. I mean,
Mo
Trice.
Hager,
now,
Trice.
I feel like Trice's shot was hideous.
McQuaid.
Knuckleball. Mo Hager.
Mo
He could
Hager,
shoot
he's a
it.
good one.
Summers, I feel like, was a pretty good shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mo Hager made 200.
No, what am I thinking here? Joey the Thumb Man Hauser.
Yeah, actually.
Joey can strap the.
I'm surprised he's not on this list.
That man can probably not.
Well, because he only played 3 years.
That
too,
man
but-
can shoot the cover off the basketball.
No, this is complete through last.
That man
year,
can shoot the cover off the ball.
He could. Yeah, last year, especially.
There's
he
no
was
way this is
phenomenal.
updated because he shot like 46% from three this year.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at makes and attempts career at Michigan State. So, but it feels like he made more than 182. That's what Brent Forbes made in 2 seasons at Michigan State.
Yeah,
good pick.
Hauser.
All right, so I've got one. Well, here's a guy that you never would have heard of, but it was a great shooter, very underrated. Kirk Mans.
I've heard that name.
He, in the 80s, 86, 87 to 89, 90. But I'm telling you, who would be probably
Scott
number one for
Skiles.
me over Restford is Scott Skiles. Like if they had the 3-pointer for more than his senior year, I think he would have by far been. Like he took routinely 23 to 26 footers just because, even though they were only worth 2 points. So those are my picks. Chris, you'll have to text me and tell me who you think your 4 guys would have been. I think we both picked, obviously some of the top 3-point shooters in Michigan State history between us. But and who knows, maybe Tyson Walker slides up that list this year.
He can
shoot it. Like,
shoot the heck out of it.
I mean, yeah, he's a guy that, and he's a money guy too. Like not all great shooters are money guys, meaning that they can
Should have said tum there.
hit the shot. Yeah, right. Hit the shot at the time, but like he was. And I'll tell you another guy who actually was probably a sneaky, decent 3-point shooter, Steve Smith.
Yeah, really good shooter.
All right, so that is the second shot of the par 3. A quick word from our presenting sponsor, Team Anders Realty will help you find the home that best fits your needs and makes the process simple and fun along the way. The Anders have served thousands of clients over 30 plus years in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area and are here to serve you today. Learn more at teamanders.com.
Golf.
What's golf?
We had the Travelers last week. They need to do some. I'm just going to come on and say they need to do some serious soul searching with that tournament. It's a freaking joke.
Well, but here's the thing.
They said they're going to redo it to make it harder, which they should. It's
really
short.
I get that. The problem is these guys all can hit it like 340
That's
yards.
why the
and whatever.
rollback's going to be good.
The rollback will be good. It's okay for me if occasionally they play a course that they can just torch. Like, who can torch it the best? Like, not every course has to be supremely difficult. They just don't. I mean, you're going to run out of places that guys could play. I mean, I think about like Grand Rapids. There's no courses in Grand Rapids that a pro could ever play because they would kill all the courses here. Like, the length of these courses is ungodly. And all right, so let them have a birdie fest. Like they do that at the Phoenix at the Waste Management. I mean, that's kind of a birdie fest. That's high 20s, sometimes under par that wins it. Like, I'm okay with that. Now, every week, no, I don't think every week. I think guys will they tend to kind of tear up the John Deere a little bit here. That's coming up in a week or two.
Yes.
They probably tear up the Detroit Country Club this week, especially after it's so soft after the storms
soft.
and a lot of trees were knocked down from storms this weekend. But like, okay, so back-to-back weeks, really low scores. Okay, I have a problem with that, but like, it still is fun to watch. Like, it was fun to watch Keegan Bradley, kind of hometown-ish guy. He's in Massachusetts, not Connecticut, but I don't have a problem with it. I some of those courses that have been around for a while, I like them. You know what? Yes, will the rollback help? Will things like that help? But
Yes.
I think we get. I talked about this after we post U.S. Open. Like we get our panties such in a wad about it's got to be such a difficult test. Why can't we just celebrate that these guys are good? Like, again, now every week, no, I don't want them shooting 30 under par every week because I want it to be difficult for them. But I don't have a problem with it occasionally, and I don't, especially when it's a classic course. If it's a first-time course and they come in and they absolutely shred it, then it's like, okay, check it off the list. But if it's been a mainstay, I mean, look, guys go pretty low at Harbortown.
True.
Right? Like, over 4 days, that's all right, whatever. You get, there were some good names in contention this week. Ricky was right up there again. Rory was right up there again. JT was back after he was absolute.
Yeah, he played
you know
well,
what
Scotty.
show in U.S. Open. Scotty was there again. Again, Keegan Bradley won. Like I don't have a problem with that. I like that. I love that 18th hole.
Yeah, some of the holes are fun. It's
Like, because
just-
if you drive into that bunker up close to the lip, like happened to Thagala last year, and he lost because he did that.
Yep.
Like, so it still is. I don't care if you're 28 under and you need to get to 29 to win. You can still make a mistake and lose on the last hole. So why is that a problem?
It's gonna be 30 under at Detroit Golf Country or whatever it's called, the golf club. Finau literally is like, it's so soft.
Yeah.
But I was listening to No Laying Up podcast earlier, and they had Scheffler and Spieth on, and they were asking Scheffler about his success. They're like, "Oh, why? What is success to you in these tournaments?" He said, "Well, in majors, I feel like I do better because the courses are usually harder, and I'm better. I like harder golf courses better because if I par a hole, you're gonna stick with the crowd." He's like, if you have a bad day, like he shot a 68 on Friday at the Travelers, and he's like 10 behind.
Yeah,
and you can't
true.
really catch up unless someone throws up on themselves or you have.
I mean, that's true, but
ungodly day.
so then in a way, that's also a test, right? Like, who can sustain throwing darts for 4 days? Like, that's a different test than who can hack it out of the rough and save a par on a 560-yard par 4. Like, it's just a different. It's the beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? It's just a different way to look at it. I personally don't have a problem. Do I want it that way every week? No, I don't. But like a handful of times a year, I mean, these guys play like 40 tournaments. So if like 5 or 6 of them, 12, 13, 14% of them are a little bit easier, that's okay. I don't care. Now, again, back to back weeks, different story. But hey, you know what? These guys are good. They're good. And they take advantage of fitness unlike any other generation. They take advantage of equipment advances unlike any other generation. And
the equipment.
all you're going to do by making courses longer and harder is make our rounds as amateurs slower, because everybody's going to feel like, oh, I can play from the tips. I can do that. And then we get stuck for 5-6 hour rounds when you have to quit early. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
We don't need that. Well, I guess we can look at our results from last week. Let me pull it up.
I don't even remember who I picked.
You picked.
I think I picked some guys.
English and Fleetwood, and they finished 128th combined because Fleetwood missed the cut, and I picked Tom Kim and Xander, and they finished 57th combined.
Not bad. I haven't even looked at it for this week.
I'm telling you, I'm picking Hideki and Straka.
Hideki, I could see that. I'm gonna go.
It's pretty good.
I'm gonna go Finau to defend.
Pretty good field in it actually this week, surprisingly.
I'm gonna go Finau to defend, and then I'm gonna have to take a guess that he's even playing. But I'm gonna go Tom Kim.
He's playing, I think.
Yeah, I'll go Kim. I like the way he's been playing lately. All right, so I got a golf question for you, and then we got a course we can review because we've never played there.
And then I have a couple quick things. I do them real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we do that, so this is from Dan Rappaport, 4Play Barstool podcast. He said, "How good has Scotty Scheffler been this year? He's made $18.6 million on course for the year. Still a major and 2 playoff events left, plus FedEx bonus after Tour Championship, plus PIP. He could make $45 million plus before endorsements, almost doubling up number 2 in Ryder Cup points."
That's insane.
That is, the man is a masterclass in consistency this season. I mean, he's been unbelievable.
He's in contention every week.
He's such a good golfer, and he's not putting well either. He even said that he's like, I can hit the ball tee to green.
Yeah, man. If he would have been putting at LA Country Club,
he would have ran away with it.
Yeah, I mean, because he tee to green, he's absolutely phenomenal.
He's phenomenal. And then the last thing, the El Nino says him and Rory are friends again, made up at the U.S. Open.
El Nino can go to hell. That. All right, so I got a question for you. Is it time to give the Champions Tour more TV time? And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about like the Golf Channel. And no offense to the Golf Channel because I love the Golf Channel, but like more like CBS, NBC, like their majors are on. And I'm gonna tell you what, like here's a reason why. Padraig Harrington he's only qualified for he's only been able to play like 7 or 8. Just turned 50. He is good.
Yeah, he's played well in majors.
Steve
recently.
Stricker is good.
And he has had health problems.
Like these guys, especially guys my age and
really
Chris's age, and guys that are like right around right around the age of the Champions Tour, 50. These are guys we grew up watching that are really, really good. This isn't like, when it was called then the Senior Tour, and rightfully they changed the name, but, and it was a place to kind of let Arnie still play, let Jack still play, let Lee Trevino still play, let Chichi Rodriguez still play. So it was it was a place to let those guys that were dominant in like the 60s and early 70s in particular still play when golf wasn't as big. And you had, a handful of big names, but there's a lot of big names that play and a lot of big names that have success. And these guys are still good. Like Potty is arguably hitting the ball better than he did when he won majors. It's fun to watch. Like I watched and I think it was it was the senior PGA. Yeah, it must have been the senior PGA because that's the one that's hosted by KitchenAid, right? Like they're the sponsor out of like the Harbor Shores course they kept promoting.
Yep.
Went to a playoff, Stricker in Harrington, and it was fun. It was fun to watch. It was just as fun as a regular PGA tournament. So
yeah,
I think it's time to get them a little bit more TV
especially
time.
This weekend's the Senior Open, and they're playing it at Century World up in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and it's a beautiful track. And it's a public track.
And these guys now for the majors they play 4 rounds, but they have to do it in 3 rounds. So it's kind of like you can't be off for a day. Like in the regular tour, you can kind of have a like Scotty did, a 68 type day and still finish top 5 in a tournament. You can't really have that when you're only playing 3 tournaments or 3 rounds in a regular tournament. That's kind of crazy if you ask me.
I got nothing else. Do you have anything else for this?
No, we want to talk a little bit about Cedar Chase.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. We played Cedar Chase for the first time, I think it was 2018.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it in just under a storm. 3 hours and 13 minutes. Blew through 3 or 4 fours.
Yeah, it could have been faster, probably, too. If there's smooth.
So you will recall, you would have heard, if you listen to the podcast all the time, and we talked about one time the hardest holes in the area.
It is very hard.
There is I think it was number 11. Is that what? Yeah, number 11.
That's
a long par 5 that is like to where I can drive the ball. The fairway is about 15 yards wide. I actually hit the fairway somehow. It's between like 2 bunkers. It's tight all the way. It is a hard hole, and we were playing from the whites because there's a pretty good difference. It's just a shade around 6,000 versus almost 6,600. So we played the 6,000 instead of the 6,600. Like if you play it from the blue, that is a punishing golf course because, I mean, legit. I'd have to really think about it, but probably 8 out of the 14 non-par 3s are. Like you better be accurate, or you're punching,
long.
Or you're punching.
They're long.
They're long and they're tight. Like tight. Not like whatever. Like you're punching out and you're taking your medicine, and you're not going to get to the green in too tight. And only $55, like on a weekend. In good shape. Not the greatest shape of any course you play, but $55.
I think it was a great deal. I'd play.
We've avoided it because for a while we avoided even like a Quail Ridge and stuff because it just beats you up too much. And it's like you don't want to go play a course that beats you up, but then you start just repeating courses all the time. So it's good to put it back in the mix. We did that with Links at Bowling Lake last year. We did that with Quail Ridge last year. We got another one that we're going to play a new
Meadows.
This week.
I played it once.
I've never played the Meadows out at Grand Valley. Looking forward to that.
Hard golf course.
Heard great things about that course, so that'll be fun. And then we're going to play Boulder on the day before 4th of July. So home course, see how we do. I've been playing it well this year, so hopefully that will kind of continue. But yeah, fun weekend for golf. And Ryan's got a trip coming up with some courses he can review, and then we've got a trip at the beginning of August up to Manistee and 3 more courses we can review.
Heck yeah. Well, we never
we haven't done Arcadia
that.
South.
No,
yeah.
You're right.
No.
Even better. All right. You have anything else golf-wise you
I
want
do
to
not.
touch on?
Nope.
I don't think I do either. All right. Brings us to the sprint. Saw this on Golf Digest. I love stealing these from them. They're fun questions. Would you flip the coin? 10 rounds anywhere in the world or no golf for an entire year? Yes or no?
In a flip of a coin.
Yep.
50% chance. Well, I mean, technically a 50% chance.
Yeah, 50%.
Of playing 10 rounds at 10, what was it? Any 10 courses you want?
Yeah. Or not play golf for a year.
golf for a year.
I'd freaking take the.
I'd take a chance. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, I'd just practice in my basement or practice in my backyard and just not be able to play a full round would suck, but I could do it.
Yeah, I could too.
It's called gambling for a reason, right?
Have they gone too far with the match in the way that they do that? Because tomorrow, if you didn't know, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson versus Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce.
Who cares about
Yeah,
it?
now it's just stupid. Like
That's what the American Century on coming up here soon on maybe it's 4th of July time at Lake Tahoe. That's what that stuff is for. If I want to see celebrities or
they did
other athletes
during
play.
the one during COVID when there's nothing going on, or the Tiger and Phil over Thanksgiving when there's no golf. Like that's fine, but
yeah, or if it's like a great golfer and a really good pro athlete from another sport,
they did like
Brady and
Bryson and Brady and Aaron Rodgers and whatever
in Phil or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
cool.
that. Okay, but no, it's just made for TV shenanigans. It's like whatever.
Yeah,
like we don't.
I think we've gone.
There's plenty of golf on TV. We don't need that. Like I'm not gonna pay. I wouldn't want to go pay money to watch that. So why am I gonna watch it on TV?
Yeah,
I'd rather be out in the smoke because Michigan is just getting hammered with Canadian smoke these days.
Yeah,
like
is-
our forecast says smoke. It doesn't even say haze anymore. It says smoke.
No.
80 degrees and
It's like we're in the
smoke.
mountains.
It smells like a wet campfire every day.
It's like the mountains. Okay. Third question. Is anyone swaggier than John Daly pulling up to Kenny Chesney's concert in his own golf cart? He parked it right in front with his beers. Could anyone else pull that off?
Probably not.
He's
Because he's also like I think he plays a little bit. Like he could get up on stage and probably play a little guitar or whatever and hang
sure
out.
he
I mean, I
could.
think he's good friends with Hootie, Darius Rucker, and some of
Yep.
those guys. So no, nobody could do that. I would have loved to see that last night at Morgan Wallen in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, drive it through the tunnel.
Yeah.
All right, last question. Who has the best milkshake?
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Who has the best milkshake? That's a tough question. Man, I'm a sucker for a peanut butter milkshake or a good strawberry milkshake. You're talking like fast food chains, or are you
Anything.
talking about? That's a hard question. I'll tell you when the guy's not making it, when it's one of the girls that are making it, the Cool Cone down the street is their mean peanut butter milkshake. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really know. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I'll tell you who has a good milkshake is I hadn't had one until recently, actually, because there's so many calories in their burgers and their fries. It's Five Guys. Five Guys is a really
those
good
are
milkshake.
I don't think I've ever had one of those, but I'm telling you what, Cookout
Oh yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
you're right. Cookout was fantastic.
Cookout.
I forgot about that.
is
Down in South
that
Carolina.
is
Yeah.
something. That's a different level. That's a whole different ball game.
Plus, they're very patriotic and biblical,
Yeah,
which
we
I
like
appreciate.
We like that. We're always appreciative of those. All right, that's the 128th edition. We appreciate you guys listening. Pound the like button. Give us what you want to hear in hodgepodge or mailbag in the coming weeks. We'll probably do Wednesday again next week as we have a holiday next Tuesday. But yeah, thanks for listening. Happy 4th.
Happy Canada Day if you're listening Canada.
Yep.
All right.
What else?
Meantime, opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. From Sir Thomas Edison. And is that not more appropriate today than ever before?